What if I told you that one of the fastest ways to bring strength back to your legs, especially if you've been noticing more fatigue, weakness, or slower movement, doesn't require a workout plan or a supplement bottle, but something already sitting in your kitchen? Sounds surprising, right? Here's the breakthrough. Scientists have found that a single food, when eaten at the right time and paired with the right nutrients, can jumpstart neuromuscular recovery in as little as 12 hours. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Clinical Nutrition revealed that adults over 50 who followed a targeted evening meal showed measurable gains in muscle protein synthesis and mitochondrial activity the very next morning. These are the engines of strength and stamina, the cellular power plants that fuel energy and repair. And it matters most in your legs, the first muscles to show signs of decline with age. This isn't just about staying mobile or looking fit. It's about independence, confidence, and the ability to keep living on your own terms. When leg strength fades, everything becomes harder. Climbing stairs feels like an uphill battle. Balance slips away. Energy drains faster. Too many people dismiss it as just aging, but the truth is, it doesn't have to be that way. Here's the truth. The main driver behind shrinking muscle mass isn't the calendar on your wall. It's not just getting older. The real culprits are chronic nutrient deficits at the cellular level, lingering inflammation in the body, and a circadian rhythm that's out of sync. In other words, it's not your age that betrays you, it's your biology. That means what you eat, the timing of when you eat it, and how those nutrients interact with your nervous system and muscles are critical pieces of the puzzle. In this session, we'll break down the neuroscience and physiology behind one everyday food that, if used strategically, can dramatically restore leg strength. You'll discover how its unique composition fuels overnight neuromuscular recovery, how it helps mitochondria, the tiny energy factories in your muscle fibers, work more efficiently, and why amino acid signaling, combined with your internal clock, makes the timing of consumption just as important as the food itself. We'll also lay out a clear, step-by-step plan you can implement immediately. This isn't hype, it's grounded science. The reality is, your body has the tools to bounce back faster than you think, if you know how to use them. For decades, doctors assumed that sarcopenia, the wasting of muscle with age, was driven primarily by disuse and declining hormone levels. But modern neuroscience paints a more hopeful picture, one that's far more actionable. What researchers are now showing is this: much of what we call muscle loss isn't actual destruction of tissue. It's a loss of connection. By your 40s, the motor neurons linking your brain and spinal cord to your muscles, especially in your legs, begin to weaken or die off. This weakens the electrical signal telling the muscle fibers to fire. The fibers are still there, but they sit dormant, waiting. That's why even adults who feel their legs getting weaker often still have the physical hardware. They just need to reawaken it. Recent research out of the University of Calgary uncovered something striking. The problem wasn't that aging muscle had died off. It was still there, just switched off, waiting to be reactivated. That explains why so many people over 50 notice wobbly legs when standing up from a chair, or faster fatigue when climbing stairs, even if their daily habits haven't changed. What feels like aging is, in many cases, simply a breakdown in communication between nerves and muscles. Here's the encouraging part. This connection can be rebuilt. Much of the repair hinges on the spinal cord, the body's relay tower for movement signals. But, like any communication network, it relies on constant nutritional fuel to keep transmission strong. Imagine your leg muscles as a crew of skilled workers. The nervous system is the foreman, shouting orders through a megaphone. If the megaphone's batteries drain, the workers stand idle. Recharge those batteries, and the job restarts immediately. One of the fastest ways to recharge is by strengthening the neuromuscular junction, the exact spot where nerve endings and muscle fibers meet. Certain nutrients act like high-voltage batteries for this system. Within hours, amino acids, B vitamins, and acetylcholine precursors can dramatically sharpen the signal, reawakening muscle fibers that had gone quiet. The food we'll reveal today is packed with those very compounds. It's not just a protein source, it's a communication restorer. Eat it at the right time, and you're not only feeding muscle tissue, you're rebooting the nervous system's command line itself. Before you worry about adding more muscle, you first need to ensure the muscle you already own is actually switched on. When it comes to leg weakness, the strength of the signal often matters more than the size of the muscle. That's why leucine, one of the most potent amino acids, deserves special focus. It acts like a molecular power switch, flipping dormant fibers back into action. And before we dive into how this switch works in detail, if this new way of looking at your body excites you, consider subscribing. Here, we turn breakthrough science into practical steps you can use right away. Every time you finish a meal, your body isn't just absorbing calories, it's scanning for specific biochemical signals. These signals act like instructions, telling your muscles and nerves what comes next. Among the most powerful of these is an essential amino acid called leucine. Because your body can't manufacture it on its own, the only way to get it is through your diet. But leucine's role goes far beyond ordinary nutrition. In the world of physiology, it's recognized as an anabolic activator, a molecular cue that tells your body to build rather than break down. The mechanism behind this lies in a pathway known as mTOR, mammalian target of rapamycin. Think of mTOR as the master control tower for muscle growth and repair. Leucine is the signal that flips its switch, triggering your cells to ramp up protein synthesis. Even in older adults, research has shown that a single leucine-rich meal can dramatically boost mTOR activity within hours, reigniting muscle-building processes that typically slow with age. This is crucial because, as we grow older, our muscles become resistant to ordinary anabolic signals. Leucine is one of the rare nutrients proven to cut through that resistance and spark growth almost immediately. Have you ever eaten a high-protein meal and still felt drained, your legs heavy and weak? The issue may not be protein quantity, but protein quality, specifically whether you consumed enough leucine at the right time. Many seniors eat just enough protein to slow muscle loss, but not enough to actually stimulate new growth. The fix is surprisingly simple. Make sure your first substantial meal of the day includes a leucine-dense protein source. Top options include eggs, chicken, beef, and most potently, whey protein. This timing leverages your circadian rhythm and primes your muscles when they're most responsive, turning a basic meal into a repair signal for your legs. To trigger the mTOR pathway and set muscle repair in motion, you don't need massive amounts of protein. Roughly 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine, easily provided by about 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, is enough to flip the switch. For those who want faster results, whey protein isolate is one of the most efficient tools. It delivers leucine and the other essential amino acids in the precise ratios your body craves. That's why both athletes chasing peak performance and physicians working with older adults often rely on it. But this is not just about rebuilding muscle tissue. It's also about restoring communication between body and brain. Every time you eat a leucine-rich meal, you're not only fueling growth, you're reigniting the biochemical conversation between your nervous system and your muscle fibers. The sooner that dialogue resumes, the sooner your legs regain their strength, steadiness, and vitality. This brings us to the second critical piece of the puzzle: acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter is the direct messenger that tells your muscles to contract. Any movement, standing up, climbing stairs, or simply rising from a chair, begins with your brain sending a signal that is converted into acetylcholine. Without enough of it, the chain breaks down. Muscles misfire, respond sluggishly, or fail to respond at all. With age, the body's ability to produce acetylcholine and the sensitivity of its receptors decline, particularly in the motor neurons that control the legs. That's why even small stumbles, slower reflexes, or shaky balance become more common with advancing years. Here's where the science gets exciting. Research shows that choline, the raw material your body uses to produce acetylcholine, can rapidly restore this signaling link. By replenishing choline through diet, you're essentially recharging the wiring between your brain and your muscles, helping movements become crisp, responsive, and reliable once more. A 2012 review in Nutrients highlighted something remarkable. Boosting your choline intake can elevate acetylcholine levels in as little as 6 to 12 hours, especially when the brain is under pressure to coordinate movement. And the simplest, most reliable food to achieve this? Eggs. More precisely, the yolks, which are nature's richest reservoir of choline. Just 2 whole eggs can deliver over 300 milligrams of this vital nutrient, which your body quickly converts into acetylcholine, jump-starting the neural circuits responsible for motor control. This isn't just nutrition trivia, it's a practical protocol. If you've noticed unsteady steps, slower reaction times, or that your legs tire more quickly than they should, try this simple morning ritual. Consume 2 whole eggs about half an hour after waking, paired with a leucine-rich protein source like whey or cottage cheese. Why the morning? Because acetylcholine production dips overnight, leaving your motor neurons particularly receptive to replenishment right after you wake. At that exact moment, your nervous system is primed to use what you feed it. Think about the difference. After a protein-rich breakfast, many people report that their steps feel lighter, their balance steadier. That isn't placebo. It's the central nervous system firing with greater precision. Choline doesn't just strengthen muscles, it upgrades the communication link between your brain and your legs. If you don't eat eggs, don't worry. Plant-based sources like quinoa, Brussels sprouts, and soybeans also provide choline, though egg yolks remain the gold standard for absorption and bioavailability. And remember, acetylcholine isn't limited to movement. It also powers memory, focus, and learning. Replenishing it means you're not only improving physical strength, but also sharpening cognitive clarity, a dual benefit that makes aging more resilient. Next, we'll explore another critical factor: blood flow. Because strong muscles are useless without adequate circulation, we'll reveal a food so effective at enhancing vascular function that it's being studied as a natural therapy for both performance fatigue and vascular dementia. If you're committed to reclaiming your strength and clarity, don't forget to subscribe. Each part of this series builds a toolkit designed to work in your everyday life. Picture this: trying to water a garden while the hose is twisted. It doesn't matter how fertile the soil is or how bright the sun. Without flow, growth stalls. Inside your body, aging creates the same effect. The arteries and capillaries feeding your legs grow narrower and less responsive, slowing oxygen delivery, nutrient transport, and waste removal. The 3 foundations of muscle performance and recovery. So what does all this lead to? Aches and weakness in the legs that feel like heaviness, sluggish response, or fatigue that lingers even after rest. You can be lifting weights, walking daily, and eating enough protein, yet if circulation is impaired, your strength quietly slips away. At the center of this is a remarkable molecule, nitric oxide. It's a gas produced by the endothelial cells lining your blood vessels, acting as a signal to relax and widen arteries so more oxygen and nutrients can flow through. The fascinating part? Your diet largely determines how much nitric oxide your body can make. Among natural foods, beets stand out as one of the strongest boosters. When eaten, especially raw or as juice, their nitrates are quickly transformed into nitric oxide inside your body. A 2015 study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology showed that adults over 60 who drank beetroot juice saw measurable improvements in leg muscle power within just hours. The biggest impact was on fast-twitch muscle fibers, the ones most critical for balance, agility, and preventing falls. And these weren't subtle changes. In walking tests, chair stands, and stair climbs, the improvements were big enough to measure in real-world movement, not just in lab data. Here's a simple protocol you can use. About 90 minutes before physical activity, eat 1 to 2 medium beets or drink 250 to 300 milliliters of beet juice. This gives your body time to convert nitrates into nitric oxide and open up your vessels. Want to amplify it further? Pair it with 20 minutes of light activity, brisk walking, cycling, or dynamic stretches. Physical movement itself stimulates nitric oxide production, and when combined with dietary nitrates, the effect multiplies. Think of it like this. You're not only turning on the faucet with food, but also increasing the water pressure with motion. Blood, oxygen, and nutrients all rush more efficiently into your muscles. Now, some people worry about the natural sugar in beets, but the glycemic impact is relatively small, and any minor spike is easily managed, especially if you pair your beets with protein or high-fiber greens. The performance benefits far outweigh the concern when consumed before activity. If this strategy resonates with you, consider subscribing. Every video here is designed to deliver science-backed methods that you can apply immediately, giving you more energy, stability, and confidence in your daily life. In the next section, we'll tackle another hidden culprit behind fading leg strength: chronic inflammation. Unlike the obvious swelling you see after an injury, this type of inflammation is silent, systemic, and always burning in the background. Research shows that even low levels of chronic inflammation weaken your body's ability to rebuild muscle, regain strength, and coordinate movement. A 2020 study published in the Journals of Gerontology found that higher levels of inflammation markers, like C-reactive protein and interleukin-6, were directly tied to reduced muscle mass and declining physical ability in older adults. Even when someone appears to be eating well and staying active, this hidden process can still chip away at strength. What's happening inside the body? Chronic inflammation sabotages the mitochondria, the little power plants inside your muscle cells. Instead of efficiently fueling contractions, they get disrupted, producing excess oxidative stress and slowing the repair of muscle tissue. On top of that, the nervous system loses some of its ability to recruit fibers. In other words, the muscle is still there, but the command signal that should activate it arrives weakened. Here's the unexpected twist. One of the best tools for putting out this slow burn isn't sitting in a pill bottle. It's sitting in your refrigerator drawer. The heroes are dark, leafy greens. Think spinach, kale, arugula, Swiss chard, mustard greens. These plants are not only packed with vitamins, but they are also powerful regulators of inflammation. Why? They are loaded with polyphenols, chlorophyll, magnesium, and natural nitrates that help your body shut down inflammatory pathways. One compound in particular, quercetin, abundant in kale and mustard greens, has been shown to directly block inflammatory messengers like IL-6 and TNF-alpha. A 2019 paper in Frontiers in Pharmacology reported that daily intake of quercetin-rich foods reduced markers of inflammation within as little as 2 to 4 weeks, especially when paired with moderate physical activity. A simple routine? Add 1 cup of dark greens to your first meal of the day. Why the first meal? Because it sets the rhythm of your body's internal clock, helping your immune and hormonal systems regulate inflammation for the rest of the day. To boost absorption of fat-soluble antioxidants like vitamin K and beta-carotene, pair your greens with a little healthy fat, olive oil, avocado, or even a sprinkle of nuts. A dash of lemon juice or apple cider vinegar can further improve nutrient uptake. It's important to understand, this isn't like popping an aspirin. You won't feel the switch flip instantly. But over 10 to 14 days, many people notice reduced soreness, quicker recovery, steadier energy, and a renewed sense of stability in their legs. At that point, food stops being just fuel. It becomes a signal, telling your immune system, "We are safe, stand down." And this brings us to the next overlooked factor, meal timing. What you eat is only half the equation. When you eat may be just as crucial, especially as the years pass. Every time you consume protein, you trigger muscle protein synthesis, the biological process that repairs and builds muscle tissue. In essence, it's your body's way of saying, "Let's rebuild." The challenge? With age comes anabolic resistance. Muscles don't respond as strongly to protein signals, making timing and strategy even more important. It's a surprising reality that simply eating enough protein may not guarantee your muscles are actually able to use it for repair and growth, particularly as we age. The real key lies not just in the amount of protein, but in how it is spaced out during the day. Research has shown that when protein intake is divided more evenly across breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the body responds with much stronger signals to rebuild and maintain muscle, especially in the legs, which are among the first areas to weaken. A University of Texas study in 2014 demonstrated that adults who balanced protein in each meal triggered around 25% more muscle-building activity compared to those who saved most of their protein for dinner. The reason is simple. Each meal becomes a fresh opportunity to switch on the repair signal, keeping your muscles constantly supplied with the cues they need. Timing matters too. Eating within half an hour to an hour after a light walk, stretching, or basic resistance training makes your muscle cells more eager to absorb amino acids. This moment is often called the anabolic window, when rebuilding happens most effectively. In practice, this means starting your day with no less than 30 grams of high-quality protein, perhaps Greek yogurt with seeds and berries, or eggs with leafy greens. After any form of activity, following up with protein and complex carbs, like a banana and protein smoothie, or beans with quinoa, will enhance nutrient delivery thanks to insulin's role in helping amino acids reach the muscle. One caution for dinner. Piling on huge amounts of protein is less effective, since the body can only use a limited amount, roughly 30 to 40 grams at once, for building. The rest gets stored or burned off. By spreading intake and pairing it with activity, you're not just feeding muscle, you're sending a powerful message to your body to stay strong and resilient. That's because muscle isn't only about movement. It also acts as a metabolic organ that protects overall vitality. Pulling this all together, from the circulation benefits of nitric oxide to the timing of protein intake, you now have a clear roadmap. The fact that leg strength can return in as little as 12 hours isn't a myth. It's a physiological truth once you work with your body's natural systems instead of against them. And the first step toward lasting power and energy begins with this simple shift. Nourish smart. Time it right. And your muscles will respond. If you found this helpful, like the video, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more science-backed insights on staying strong and independent.